Hey, good morning, YouTube. It's Josh. Today is Saturday, August 8th, 2020. Just wanted to come and make a quick video on the U.S. dollar and how the Federal Reserve is, planning to ramp up inflation and really just bring inflation into a whole nother gear. As they're continuing to just pump currency into the system with no avail in terms of their inflation target. The Federal Reserve came out and said that they're not quite happy with the amount of inflation that's taking place right now, and we'll get into that in a minute. But so today I just wanted to talk about how the U.S. dollar has now devalued by 99% since its inception, back in 1913, whereas gold has increased in value by that same amount, by over 100 times. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, as the Fed continues to print money and puts money into the market at the moment, and is known as the world reserve currency, and because it's supposed to be strong and has superior supporting value. The problem is that when you print too much of anything, it starts to become worthless. And as this article here from the Zero Hedge reads, a world reserve currency is supposed to be superior in storing value, but through balanced money printing, the U.S. dollar hasn't been able to compete with gold by a long shot. So the problem is that the more money that the Fed prints, the less valuable that currency is, the less purchasing power that the dollars that you hold in your savings account have, the stronger that gold and silver become, because they're limited in resources, or they're limited in supply. They're a very scarce resource, and they're recognized as money across the globe. So here's an example. In 1932, the gold price was $20.67. Today, it is now $2,000.67. So it appreciated by $2,000. Whereas the dollar, the same U.S. dollar, has gone down by 99%. And this is a graph of that. You guys can see the example of how inflation, or how the dollar has completely fallen apart. By this article says 98%, but it's actually 99%. Insane. So we also, and then in the same article, you can see where how the gold has appreciated compared to the dollar. It is going in complete opposite direction and is getting more and more and more valuable as the currency continues to get less and less and less valuable. So they're polar opposites, and this has been throughout history, throughout the history of the world. Whether you look at Germany, Zimbabwe, Venezuela, anybody who's had a fiat currency, it's failed over the years. It has a perfect track record of failing. They never last, because the problem is that anyone that can print an unlimited supply of something naturally brings the value of it down. So gold is polar opposite to any sort of fiat currency, which is why it is now soaring. So just wanted to point that out. So if you, as you know, the Fed continues to print money and puts money into the system, although gold doesn't yield any kind of a return if you don't lend it out, of course, but the truth about gold is that it's the only globally accepted financial asset without any counterparty risk. You can hold gold or silver in your hand, and it will store your wealth as you move through this paradigm and into whatever comes next. And it'll continue to go up in price because it's more and more and more in demand as the Federal Reserves across the country and across the world continue to print more money. So I found this interesting. When you look at the purchasing power index of gold in the U.S., it is now 1,800 to 100 compared to the U.S. dollar. So it has increased a phenomenal amount compared to what the U.S. dollar has to offer. So lastly, I just wanted to say, reading this article, they point out on Zero Hedge, this writer says, in my view, the gold price will continue to rise and will be incorporated in a new international monetary system. The current all-time high in dollar or euro terms is just a nominal measure. So true. So although gold is priced in at new all-time highs in terms of actual currency, the truth is it doesn't even matter. It could be $10,000. It could be $20,000. It doesn't matter because that currency is now becoming worthless. So ultimately, how much can that buy you if you just print something to infinity? And right now, you know, people are saving. People save their money during times of uncertainty, and what we're seeing right now is people saving that money. So even though the Fed is pumping trillions of dollars into the system, um, the goal for people, individuals, is to save that money, and no one's spending. The reason why is because they first of all they can't go out and do anything. Second of all, they're afraid to spend that money. They want to save it. So what happens is the Fed is now not reaching their inflationary target, which means prices aren't going up, which means that the economy is essentially not growing; it's stagnant. It's essentially just like we're standing still and nothing is happening. Um, so what happens is this now has a massive buildup of currency that people have in their possession, and so when the which is going to lead towards a massive inflationary period coming in a short period. I see that because if you have all these people that are at home doing nothing but saving currency, they're not going out and doing anything. When the economy does open up, it's going to be like a dam breaking. Money is going to flood into the system. All that built up energy that's been happening, which is going to cause not only inflation, but I think a hyperinflationary time. So what that means is the price of groceries is going to just skyrocket. The price of cars, the price of how everything is going to go massively up. So if you are saving dollars, you will be losing money in that time period. And what I think is going to happen is even that's not going to bring the economy back to where it needs to be, and and the Fed is going to run into a situation where the economy is running too hot, and so prices are run into a hyperinflationary time, and that's going to lead into a larger financial crash in the future when nobody has any money to do anything. Um, so if you're not familiar with Exeter's pyramid, I'll put that up now. Ultimately, there's just so many derivatives and there's so much funny money out there that eventually people are going to rush away from all the funny money and get into things that are real, like precious metals. And the reason they're going to do that is they want to protect their wealth and they want something real. You know, you look at Venezuela and you look at how much an ounce of silver is. I think it's like 3.2 million bolivars, which is absolutely insane. And that's due to all the funny money that they printed in. The U.S. is no different. We're on the same trajectory. So I'll finish off with this article. The current all-time high in dollar and euro terms is a nominal measure, as mentioned. So it's completely irrelevant. So with taking into account inflation, gold is not an all-time high. More importantly, I'm expecting central banks to debase their currencies way more in the years ahead because the world has never been this much in debt. So speaking on the U.S. debt, we have to continue going into debt. It's the way our system works. If we pay off our debt, the system fails. So every single year, they have to print more and more and more and more and more and more currency and go further and further and further and further and further into debt because it's what keeps the country running. You have to continue to increase the debt. So essentially, the whole world is in, I think it's $250 trillion in debt. I mean, just unsustainable levels. When you look at the amount of derivatives that are out there, here you'll see on Exeter's pyramid, $1 quadrillion. I mean, at some point, this is all funny money, right? And so really, the debt levels around the world are completely unsustainable and can only be lowered through debt relief or inflation. And inflation is, you can inflate away the debt, you can do that. So if you print enough money, you can monetize the debt and essentially just pay that off. But the value of that currency is worthless, which, if you go back to the beginning picture, explains that perfectly. So the Federal Reserve and other central banks are communicating they choose inflation. A few months ago, the president of the European Central Bank said we should be happier to have a job other than having our savings protected. This is a clear admission in this case. Euro savings will be wiped out. So, in conclusion, I will wrap this up in just saying now the Fed is expecting a major commitment to wrap up inflation. So these are the people in control of the money, right? They're going to make prices go higher. So what can you do as an individual? Well, I would recommend looking at options that you could put your money in, like real tangible assets, like a metal or precious metal is rare. That'll at least protect the value of your currencies and move into a new paradigm. Um, and I would say it doesn't matter if it's $100 an ounce or $500 an ounce or $1,000. It doesn't matter. I will not be selling for anything other than 1 ounce of silver to an acre of land or something of that nature. 1 ounce of silver to pay off my house, or I mean something of that nature. Maybe not 1 ounce, maybe 20 ounces of silver to pay off my house, but something where I'm valuing my wealth in terms of ounces instead of in terms of dollars. And my goal is to become a billionaire. So, anyways, that's it for today, guys. Just a quick video. Hope all is well, and talk to you soon.